Hi, welcome to the eighth part of the lecture on the labor force participation and occupational segregation of the gender economics course, which is a course uh, where basically the participants are um, introduced to the feminist economics. This lecture series is prepared for the Middle East Technical University, Northern Cyprus campus. And we were actually talking about the İlk Karacan's article, and we have seen that actually, even though women's labor force participation rate has increased, that increase was relatively still a significant gap remained between the woman and male, female and male labor force participation. And these are some other developed countries, not the not basically the MENA countries, but other developing countries. And as you see, well, maybe this country, Mexico, had a similar closest case to Turkey, but in Turkey the ratio was women's share in the labor force was already very low, and it has get lower, but we have seen the reason, the agricultural case. But in other countries, for example, in Mexico, it has risen. In this country, which is Thailand, it has remained stable at 45%. In Brazil, it has risen from 30s to 40s. And no country has actually experienced a slight decrease, especially in 1990s, as far as I can see, and a significant percentage of them have experienced a significant increase. Only, well, maybe Thailand has stagnated, but in Thailand the ratio was already relatively high, of course not as high as the United States, basically. So what might be the reason behind that? There are different reasons that İlk Karacan has actually mentioned. One is the state's policies, and that's actually Turkish state is actually first it takes women's job as a secondary thing, and gives the main responsibility of looking for a child to the only woman, which basically means, for example, women are able to get maternal leave. They might actually leave their jobs, and the job will provide them some income while they leave the job, which might be seen as a good thing, but it might also discourage the companies to hire women, especially if it is not coupled with the paternal leave, which would mean that men also would have the right to leave their job for a certain period, at least when they have child. And also, women are not given any childcare assistance, especially, any subsidy to send their children to the childcare facilities. And basically, the idea, women look to their child. If they don't do that, this is not immoral. These could also be factors. But also, İlk Karacan mentions actually culturally, when women in Turkey go from the villages, the rural areas to the urban areas, they might rather prefer to be alone after this crowded families, which were extended families mainly. Having their house and having the control of their house just by themselves might be something they like, rather than working in a workplace, which might at first at least resemble. We might discuss to what extent it resembles, but at least at the first look, if not, it's actually doing it resemble the workplace in the rural areas, which might actually lead also to the isolation of the woman. But actually, of course, at first it might look like a good thing. And marriage is considered as one of the important factors, and it gives the duty to stay at home. But one thing actually which might be leading to the increase of the female labor force participation is the unemployment. As unemployment, and in Turkey, it has remained high at around 10% for a long time, and even at the relatively successful periods of the the current government, it remained high. And basically, the high unemployment rate might also lead the women to actually look for job and basically lead to a higher labor force participation rate. But those ideas are also empirically tested. I mean, stated but then tested. So it's interesting to look further to the study. So let's do that. So these are the different, let's say, occupations, and you see how many female jobs are created out of the male jobs, basically. So the trade, hotel, and restaurant sector is the one with highest. Out of every 100 male job created, 44 female job is created in this sector. So out of every 100 job created, 25 went to the woman. Out of every 100 job created, actually 67 goes to the woman in the community and social services, and 30 went to the woman in the manufacturing. So in the finance, it's also 31. If you look to the other sectors like transformation, construction, electricity, mining, quarrying, there actually the ratios are relatively low. And actually, it's interesting, community and the social services, which might be not seen as largely non-profit sector, there you see the highest percentage, basically. So the manufacturing and the finance have some women participating in it. Maybe it's also open to the higher, more skilled jobs. In transportation and construction, maybe the skilled jobs are less common. Maybe also electricity, gas, and water, basically. But these are interesting numbers in general. They're interesting numbers. And here also you see the educational distribution of the jobs created. Basically, in manufacturing, you see, well, in both sectors actually, in manufacturing and the services, you see more university graduates that are hired. But you see in the service sector, interestingly, university graduates are hired more frequently. And also high skills graduates are employed more frequently. And the percentage of the primary school graduates employed is less. So service sector is more open to the highly educated people, especially when we are talking on the women. So women are able to, the educated women are more able to participate in service sectors compared with manufacturing. So this graph is actually for the women. I'm sorry, this is not general graph. Let's go down. And now let's see the regression. Well, basically this regression shows well, how different factors are affecting the labor force participation of the woman. I'm sorry. Okay, that's okay. That should do it. Okay, let's look to it. So as you see, for the urban woman especially, the university education is a very important factor, which is increasing the participation in the labor force. Well, actually here I should say that if the number is greater than 1, in that case it means it's affecting it positively. If it is less than 1, it's affecting the labor force participation negatively, and the further away it is from the 1, the higher will be its effect. As you see, the children have an important effect, and here you see also the primary school and the effect on the primary school and secondary school and the university graduates. And as you see, children are in all type of let's say all type of education levels an important effect, and the effect is more or less constant for all type of educational levels for all years actually. I mean, even their effect have slightly increased in 2008 compared with 2000. There actually the agriculture might have an effect, although even for the university students it has increased. That's an interesting thing. And having an unemployed household member has a very important effect in increasing the employment level for all, let's say again, all of the education levels. Although at the higher educated the people are, the higher will be the effect. And if the household has primary education, high school education, or the university education, basically compared with the no education, the higher the education level is, except the primary education case. Actually, I mean, only at the recent year primary education people actually lead to higher type of labor force participation. But after that, even in the latest year, as you see, the higher the education level of household is, the lower will be the labor force participation rate of the woman. This is except the case when the women have the university education. In that case, the education level of the head of the household doesn't have any effect on the labor force participation. Now, these are interesting. This is interesting information by itself. I'm leaving it to your interpretation, basically, because I want to also go to the another research where actually women have directly talked on the reasons they are actually they are willing to be employed or unemployed. This research is done at the Ümraniye, Istanbul. Ümraniye is one of the relatively religious type of neighborhood, also with very low income people living in. And actually, they have asked here whether women are working or not, and if they work or not, whether they will prefer to work or not. And they asked to both of them basically. Both of them basically the reasons why they will prefer or not prefer to work. And this research is done by the woman, the interviewers of the woman center there, who are familiar with the woman there. So that, of course, there actually knowing the woman you are working with is important when you make interview, to ask the questions in the right way, especially, and getting the right answer, understanding the answer, basically. So basically, the woman who prefers work for pay, both the ones that are like paying, and the ones that are working and liking to work, and the ones who are not working but want to work. They want personal satisfaction, especially the working women want that, and then access to own income and autonomy. This is also, the personal satisfaction is not that much a factor for the women who are not working. Autonomy has some importance, but help with the family budget, the actual workers, that's low thing. But for the women who are outside of the labor force, that might be one reason why they want to join the labor force. Interestingly, so the non-participants are kind of, they might have some autonomy, but still personal satisfaction is a very low thing. I mean, maybe they think actually that autonomy is something that might be required by extraordinary conditions, maybe for themselves, or maybe that might be an exogenous factor. I mean, they might look outside and they might think a little autonomy might be good, but still I don't need to work for personal satisfaction. Maybe they might think that way. And family budget is an important thing, necessarily. That's the most important thing. Actually, well, in both cases, as we see, we will continue to talk on this in the next part. We are very close to the 15 minutes mark. So let's talk in the next part. See you in the next part.